The SmartODR Mega Exposé. How SEBI and NSE force investors to break their own rules. The hook and the compliance trap. Investor protection or systemic deception? Hello everyone. If you invest your hard-earned money in the Indian stock market, you are definitely familiar with SEBI, the regulatory body that repeatedly claims its primary mission is to protect retail investors. But today, with black and white documentary evidence, I am going to show you how India's apex financial institutions, the National Stock Exchange, NSE, and the market regulator, SEBI, have built a bureaucratic maze that literally penalizes the victims of financial fraud. This is the story of a digital trap. A trap where if an elderly, uneducated, or tech challenged investor gets cheated, their son, daughter, or legal representative cannot step in to help them unless they actively violate the government's own cybersecurity rules on the platform. Let's break down exactly what happened. Imagine your elderly father faces a financial fraud in the stock market. To seek justice, you head over to the official SmartODR platform, the online dispute resolution portal backed by SEBI. Because your father cannot navigate complex computer portals, you use your account, upload a legally signed authorization letter from him, and lodge the complaint. Your case sits idle for weeks. Then, out of nowhere, NSE rejects it. Their excuse? A technical reason, claiming that the dispute must originate from the victim's own login credentials, not a representative's account. Stunned by this absurdity, you appeal to SEBI, expecting the apex regulator to correct NSE's high handedness. Instead, SEBI sends an official reply defending NSE. They call it a technical protocol to prevent impersonation and formally order you to create a separate account in your father's name to file the complaint all over again. Today, we are going to dismantle this bureaucratic logic line by line. Let's expose the three massive institutional lies and contradictions being pushed by SEBI and NSE. The first lie, the user definition twist and forced impersonation. To justify throwing out a genuine complaint, NSE relies on Part 1, Clause 4S, Terms and Conditions. This clause is a simple dictionary definition. It states that a user means any market participant, investor, or person accessing the platform. But look at how NSE shamelessly exaggerates and twists a simple definition clause in their official action taken report. NSE claims this mere definition is a security measure to ensure that the individual whose PAN and financial interests are at stake is the primary party to the record. Nowhere in the actual rulebook does it state that this definition doubles as a restrictive security measure. It is an unwritten rule manufactured on the fly to avoid looking into the merits of a fraud. But it gets worse. To comply with this twisted logic, SEBI and NSE officially command you in writing to create a new account in your father's name. Now look at Part 1, Clause 3 of the exact same SmartODR Terms and Conditions. It strictly states, you are prohibited from impersonating any other person for the purpose of creating an account. If an elderly parent cannot navigate a digital portal and their representative inputs the credentials, links a representative email, and sets up the ID, they are technically impersonating that person during the sign up flow, an act the rulebook explicitly bans. How can the apex regulator officially order a citizen to adopt a procedure that violates its own penal clauses? Second lie, the credential paradox and data privacy violation. NSE and SEBI insist that the initial dispute must originate solely from the investor's credentials. For a moment, let's assume you obey SEBI's order. You create an ID under your vulnerable parent's name. Because they cannot handle the digital portal, you hold the username, password, login, MPIN, and you manage the case moving forward. Now, let's flip over to the cybersecurity rules of the exact same SmartODR platform. Part 2, Clause 2 states with absolute clarity, you are prohibited from sharing your username or password, MPIN, or other login credentials to any other person. And the contradictions do not stop there. Moving forward to Part 3, Clause 3, the rulebook asserts use of another user's account information for availing the ODR facility is expressly prohibited. Look at the circular trap they have built. If you follow SEBI and NSE's official directives, you are actively violating two separate core security clauses of the platform by using and storing someone else's login credentials. But if you respect these security clauses, the system bars you from registering the complaint altogether. Does it not cross the minds of the legal departments at SEBI that their official advisory is forcing everyday citizens to break three distinct security rules just to get a hearing? Furthermore, the SmartODR Terms and Conditions explicitly state that the platform does not solicit nor does it wish to receive any personal data or confidential material which is not required for resolving an active dispute. Why then do CB and NSE demand a separate PAN number and a completely new registration ID to resolve a dispute when you have already provided the unique client code DPID and client ID? The broker can easily pull up the investor's records using the UCC. Forcing a representative to log straight into an investor's personal account exposes their lifetime financial dispute history, destroying basic data privacy and integrity. Now, we arrive at the absolute pinnacle of institutional hypocrisy. The third lie: software versus bureaucratic paperwork, and the smoking gun. NSE defends its stance by stating that this is not a reinterpretation but a standard procedural requirement to prevent unauthorized filings. If that is true, I have a direct technical question for the IT development and legal compliance heads at both NSE and CB. Look at how the Smart ODR system has been coded since the very day it was launched. When any citizen logs onto this portal to initiate a brand new complaint, before a single detail of the fraud is requested, the system presents this exact question: are you filing on behalf of someone else? The moment you click yes, the system demands and accepts an authorization letter from the representative's account. Think about the sheer weight of this contradiction. If the structural framework of the ODR mechanism genuinely barred a representative from initiating a dispute through their own account, why was this feature coded into the software in the first place? Why has it been live for years? Why does the system willingly accept an authorization letter from a representative's ID if doing so automatically classifies the case as an unauthorized filing? The code base of the platform proves it was built to handle representative filings. Yet, bureaucrats sitting in offices looking to brush off heavy caseloads invent arbitrary rules on the fly to throw out genuine grievances under the guise of technical reasons. When I caught NSE red handed in this contradiction, what did they do? Did they fix their bureaucratic approach to match the software? No. NSE on December 9, 2025 wrote to me, and I quote, "We acknowledge your observation that while filing the complaint, the system displayed the option asking whether the complaint pertains to you or someone else. This caused confusion. The said pop-up will shortly be removed as the ODR framework does not allow filing from someone else's ODR ID." This is the ultimate smoking gun. Instead of correcting their flawed logic, NSE openly admitted they would delete the feature from the website just to cover up their tracks. It proves the platform architecture was built to allow representatives, but they are changing the system retroactively to push away investors. Data integrity and systemic failure, a mockery of data privacy. Beyond the logical flaws, has anyone at these institutions considered basic data integrities? When you force a representative to log straight into an investor's personal account to fight a case, that representative gains unfettered access to the investor's entire financial dispute history, past cases, and highly sensitive personal records. How does compromising an investor's account privacy satisfy SEBI's written claim of safeguarding the interest of a complainant? It defies basic logic. What makes this entire situation completely unacceptable is the sheer volume of deliberate institutional ignorance. I pursued this matter with CB over a span of several months. via repetitive emails, formal calls, and written submissions. I asked them directly, if this portal functionality violates your guidelines, who approved it and why is it still live? What did CB do? They took months of time, provided zero material clarifications, didn't schedule a single phone call to understand the flaw, and blindly marked the complaint as disposed. To add insult to injury, they forced me to file a brand new complaint just to reference their broken disposal. This is nothing but a war of attrition, designed to exhaust a retail investor until they give up on their hard earned money. And how much diligence does NSE actually do when handling your grievances? In this active case, after making the victim wait for days, NSE took less than 15 minutes after receiving the broker's response to abruptly close the dispute without an iota of independent thought. They are operating at lightning speed to dismiss an investor's case the moment a trading member gives a generic technical excuse. To deal with this regulatory response, I gave SEBI a simple analogy in my emails. If someone asks you a direct math question, what is 30 plus 29? He expects the straight answer, number 59. Even if you reply with the right answer in words 59 in a language that he don't understand, he is left confused. But SEBI and NSE aren't even doing that. They are providing translated bureaucratic jargon that completely evades the actual sum of the problem. NSE and SEBI hear this loud and clear. Stop harassing investors in the name of protection. Conclusion and call to action. Share. Tag. Demand accountability. My friends, this is not just my personal battle. This is a systemic issue affecting millions of retail investors across India who pour their savings into our markets. If the nation's largest stock exchange and its premier market regulator hide behind contradictory, flawed technology loops to trash valid investor grievances, public trust in the entire financial ecosystem will collapse. We demand that the top management at SEBI and NSE publicly clarify when this structural flaw in the SmartODR platform will be rectified. Why are citizens being officially instructed to bypass your own data protection clauses? Please share this video as much as possible. Post it across LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Tag SEBI India and NSE India in the comment section below. This voice needs to reach the Ministry of Finance and the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Retail investors cannot be treated as collateral damage in a game of bureaucratic paperwork. Stand up for the truth, stay informed, and demand accountability. Thank you.